I'm writing my thesis. There's a lot of paperwork along the way, it's no fun. Yesterday, I submitted a form potentially nominating examiners to scrutinize my defense. Those are the professors I'll have to defeat in combat to prove I'm Dr. Ted. I've also been reading a book about the Upanishads, an ancient collection of religious philosophy, and I notice a similarity. Let's think about it. I like talking about the Lotus Sutra, and to get the Lotus Sutra, you have to get Buddhism, and to get Buddhism, you have to get Hinduism, and to get Hinduism, you have to get the Upanishads. These are teachings written thousands of years ago, and probably passed orally from generation to generation long before that. The Upanishads are part of the Vedas, but this book I'm reading makes the rest of the Vedas sound pretty boring. It's just a bunch of rituals and mantras. The book says, the Vedas look outward in reverence and awe. It makes the Upanishads sound more interesting, describing the philosophy behind the Vedas. And it sounds like the people behind the Upanishads also thought the Vedas were pretty boring. Says the book, rituals, the basis of Vedic religion, are all but ignored. The Upanishads look inward, feeling the powers of nature only as an expression of the more awe-inspiring powers of human consciousness itself. Rad. Like Greek philosophers, the Upanishads are presented as conversations between students and teachers. The Katha Upanishad is a conversation between the son of a sage and the Hindu deity personifying death called Yama. That same Yama also appears in Buddhism, where he is the judgmental king of hell. Still, despite featuring, for example, death, the Upanishads are pretty repetitive. For example, the Chandogya Upanishad has the son of a sage ask his dad, "Please, father, tell me more about this self." And the sage says, "Yes, dear, I will." And, they say this 9 times. Anyway, here's a snippet from the Shvetashvatara Upanishad, which I think sums it up. On this ever-revolving wheel, the individual self goes round and round through life after life, believing itself to be a separate creature, until it sees its identity with the Lord of Love and attains immortality in the indivisible whole. Mr. Cat? Religions are interesting, but I don't want to do all the rituals in the Vedas. But I think the Upanishads echo my thesis paperwork. The professors I nominated as examiners of my defense had one big requirement. They must have had at least one student who got a PhD. That means those students needed another group of professors who had students who got PhDs. How did the first person with a PhD get that PhD? They needed people who had students with PhDs to give them the PhD. It seems like one PhD connects to previous PhDs all the way back to some original PhDs. And that's how the Upanishads describe themselves. The book says that the word Upanishads translates to sitting down near, that is, at the feet of an illuminated teacher, as aspirants still do in India today. A teacher teaches students until the students seem to understand the whole life, the universe, and everything thing, and then those students become teachers for more students, and on until the author of this book here taught me. And now I get to teach you. You're welcome. Ideas in Hinduism are often related to ideas in Buddhism, often specifically because the Buddha doesn't like them. The Buddha described anatta, usually translated as no self, which is disagreeing with the Hindu idea of the self, the permanent, unchanging Atman. In Buddhism, the self is always changing, in a reality which is always changing. In the Upanishads, it is said that realizing the true self is like cleaning a dusty mirror to a shine. In contrast, a Zen poet once wrote, "There is no shining mirror. Since all begins with nothing, where can dust collect?" Religious studies often compare and contrast these two ideas, Atman and Anatta. My thesis is about artificial intelligence instead. But I do like to think that, like the Upanishads, my PhD connects me to a long line of teachers and students investigating human consciousness itself. Rad. So anyway, get immortal already, squidlings. Bye-bye.